Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Astrology with your friend Gretchen Heidel, full-time astrologer, life coach, Reiki master, and so much more. And I am here tonight. It's our Monday night date on April 24th, 2023, and we're going to be going over This Week in Astrology. So I'm live here on Facebook, which I'm live every Monday night at 8 p.m. on my Facebook page, Astrology Updates by Gretchen Heidel, or I post the pre-record or the recorded version on YouTube as well. So welcome if you're just joining me. It doesn't matter to me what format you would prefer to watch. You can join me live, or you can watch the pre-recorded, which is also posted to Facebook and YouTube. So welcome. If you were just joining me, go ahead and post your astrological sign below. I love hearing who's joining me tonight, and if you know your astrological sign or signs, your moon, your rising sign, all that good stuff. We have some things to go over tonight. I will definitely say that this week is a little quieter. Okay, we had some some major downloads and major onslaught from the last few weeks going on here, and this week we end April a little quieter, a little bit more subdued. I'm not sure, nobody's commenting yet, so I'm not sure if anybody can hear me. I'm hoping that you guys can, so go ahead and post your astrological sign. Oh good, Wendy. Wendy's posted, yay. Love seeing you, Wendy. Aquarius in Vermont. And Melinda, awesome. Capricorn sun, Cancer moon, Scorpio rising. Love that too. Thank you for posting here. That way I know everybody can hear me. And so last week we had, if you guys remember, I mean, I could have gone on and on and on and kept going on and on. We had the solar eclipse, we had the new moon, we had Mercury retrograde started. All of this stuff happened within this like 36 to 48 hour bubble. And so it was a lot of astrological energy, like kind of the onslaught. I'm wondering how everybody did, if anybody had issues, problems, it was good, it was bad, whatever it was. You know, like I was saying, you know, eclipses are really a mixed bag. You know, they can be good for some people and they can be not so good for others. So basically, and then we started Taurus season. I mean, just, you know, just a few things. So last week I kind of downloaded you guys and I tried to do it succinctly and so that it made sense, but it was just a lot of energy that happened, and that took place between April 20th and April 21st. We are still experiencing the reverberations of all of that stuff, okay? And so it's all of the stuff that's going down. We're still feeling the reverberations of it. Wendy said freaky times, more difficult than not. Okay, that's how Wendy experienced it. Everybody experiences it differently. I didn't have too bad of a time, even though I'm an Aries and this eclipse new moon is in Aries or was in Aries. I didn't have too bad of a time, but my little dog Lily was not feeling well, and she's an Aries, and it was very interesting. She wasn't feeling well. Now, I'm not going to say I felt awesome sauce. I was very tired all weekend. I kind of felt drained and sort of a little bit out of it, but I kind of allowed myself to have that time and that space to do so. Sometimes that's how these eclipses are. They just make us feel like a little bit drained or a little tired. So if anybody had anything like that, please post below how you experienced this eclipse, because it was just a lot of energy. Now, I am going to be covering what's going on in this week coming up, and I do want to circle back to that eclipse because, you know, like I said, it was a mixed bag and it was good for some and not good for others. There was a person that is famous in the news that did actually, I guess, have a good time for this eclipse, I suppose, behind the scenes. So anyway, so it's something that I'm going to go over that person's chart in a little bit. So hang in there and stay tuned. Hey, Robin, welcome. Gemini there. How did you do with this eclipse? And Andrea, yes, you're an Aries, Andrea. So you might have felt this extra Gemini moon and Cancer rising. So welcome. And so, yeah, yeah, I want to circle back to this energy, and plus Mercury retrograde started. So, you know, we have a lot of, you know, we've been feeling a lot of planetary stuff going on. So there was a lot of energy coming at us. And whenever that happens, it can take a physical toll. We can get migraine headaches, or we can feel a little dizzy or a little out of it or a little tired, whatever. Or even extra energy. Some of us have the extra energy. Some of us have the depleted energy, but it's not usually neutral, typically. And so I want to go over what's going on this week. Andrea said lots of busy energy. So you got pumped up from it. I got pumped up, and then I went, and then I kind of tanked out a little bit. So I ended up taking some naps, and that's okay too. Everybody experiences these things differently. And you're not weird, and you're not, you know, whatever, if you're experiencing that. It's normal to feel that way. Hey, Rita and Virgo, welcome. So tomorrow on Tuesday, I'll just start the week here on April 25th. We do have a lovely sextile going on between the sun. Now the sun is in Taurus season. So we just officially started Taurus season. The flavor is changing, though there's still a lot of planets still in Aries. So we have a lot of planets in Taurus, a lot of planets in Aries. And again, I am going to show you guys what the astrological energy looks like this week. So stay tuned for that. But we have Taurus energy, and Taurus sun is going to form a sextile with Saturn in Pisces. Remember, Saturn is now in Pisces, which is a water sign. So we have an earth sign and a water sign here. And earth and water signs love each other. Mother Earth needs to have water. So if you think about it that way and remember that, that's a sextile, and that means it's very positive. So tomorrow afternoon, or I should say, tomorrow morning at 6:48 a.m. Eastern time, so 3:48 a.m. if you're out on the West Coast, the sun's going to form a sextile with Saturn. And now that's really delightful. Saturn's all about hard work. The sun is kind of a hardworking sun, with the sun being in Taurus. Taurus can be very good at practical matters. So when we get the Taurus sun and then the dreamy Saturn in Pisces, when they come together tomorrow morning, it's like early bird gets the worm, if you know what I mean. Hey, Darlene, welcome. She's a Taurus too. We're talking about Tauruses, Darlene. So that could be really good tomorrow for work. If you have a work week planned and you have a lot of busyness to do, a lot of things to accomplish, Sun sextile Saturn can help us to accomplish those things. Sextiles are usually like felt in a more mild way. It's a positive thing, but it's kind of like all green lights on the way to work, and, you know, not much, you know, kind of problems and happenings. It's not like major peak, wonderful, amazing, and it's not horrible either. It's like this wonderful space in the middle where everything kind of just works out and it's nice. Now, I'm going to say this, and I planned on kind of circling back and going over this, but I think I'm just going to start out with this because we need some good news. Don't we need some good news, everybody? The good news is that, yes, this is Mercury retrograde, and yes, we're going to expect to find, you know, Mercury retrograde stuff, you know, like cell phones glitching out, or computers being weird, or having to reboot the computer, and all the kind of stuff that we usually talk about with Mercury retrograde, travel and this and that. But this particular Mercury retrograde, when I like pan out and I look at all of the like possible activity or any kind of thing, there's not much. Mercury during this cycle doesn't aspect many planets, and when it does, it aspects planets positively. So this could be a much more mild than we have seen in a really long time, okay? This could be a much more mild Mercury retrograde. It is still retrograde. We can't fool ourselves, okay? But it's more mild. There's not really any major. The only major like kind of download happens on May 12th, so like 2 weeks from now. And still it's gonna do the same thing that the sun just did. The sun sextiled Saturn. So in 2 weeks on May 12th, Mercury is gonna sextile Saturn. And then also in the same day, Mercury is gonna sextile Venus. And Mercury is currently sextile Mars. That's a lot of sextiles. Well, what did I just say about sextiles? They're mild. They're kind of like everything kind of works out. And sextiles in astrology are basically beneficial or good to be able to like, let's say you get an opportunity, you're able to bring that to fruition. It does take a little work or a little effort, but it means that it lands in your lap. Ploop, it plops in your lap. So we're getting Mercury is sextiling a lot of planets here. Saturn, Venus, and it already was sextile Mars over the weekend. So that's actually like really beneficial and positive. It's just that it's retrograde while it's doing it. That's the only hiccup or glitch, but it's not a terrible thing at all. Hey, Barbara, Sydney, Australia. That's amazing. I love that. You must be watching one day ahead of us. We're here in the United States doing this broadcast. So just make sure you adjust the dates and the times for the things that I'm talking about. Oh, Chris, yay, welcome. You joined the broadcast. This is amazing. And so I'm giving good news to everybody who's just joining. So Mercury retrograde this time out might not be so bad. It is a retrograde. We have to respect the retrograde, okay? But it's not as bad of a retrograde as it has been in previous times. And in fact, most of the retrograde Mercury is pretty quiet. There's going to be little days here or there where there's very, very minor transits, but it's not anything like where I'm like, oh God, you know, this is going to be crazy. So yay, we can relax into this retrograde a little bit and have this peacefulness. Now, actually tomorrow there's going to be two beneficial sextiles. So the sun sextile Saturn tomorrow morning at 6:48 a.m. Eastern time, which I was just saying is great for hard work, rolling up your sleeves, getting busy, especially if you have chores to do or any kind of thing that you've been sort of putting off. It's definitely something that we are needing to experience. So that's a good thing for sure. People are messaging me, asking me if I'm doing my broadcast. Am I live on my on my Facebook page? I'm hoping I am. I see a lot of people commenting. Speaking of Mercury retrograde. Almir, welcome. Taurus from Vermont. Are you feeling this Mercury retrograde yet? Almir, you're a Taurus. Darlene said that Mercury retrograde is affecting her family. Darlene is a Taurus. Flights are being canceled, delays, traffic. Yeah, I mean, all that's normal though. Like that's normal Mercury retrograde stuff. You know, I always say if you're going to be flying or doing any kind of thing, you got to allow enough time. Andrea said, yes, I'm live on Facebook. Okay, thank you. Almir said, yes, very much so. Rita said, yes, you are very live. Love that. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be anything. I don't know. I hope not. I think it's going to be a better Mercury retrograde this time around. But we have to respect the retrograde. There still can be flight delays like they're talking about. God, they're happening even when Mercury's not retrograde. So you throw a retrograde in there and of course there's going to be flight delays and all kinds of like things. But I always say taking a vacation, best time to take a vacation is during Mercury retrograde because you have off and you can just hopefully lay on a beach somewhere and just chill out. It's just getting to the vacation and getting home from the vacation. Usually that's the problem. Almir said computers are not your friend. Yeah, I mean, apparently, I don't know. People are asking me if I'm if I'm live right now. I don't know, on Facebook. So, whatever, but it seems like I am, so that's good. Andrea said maybe the flights will be on time this time. Yeah, I mean, who knows? That would be a retrograde, right? That would be amazing right now. So I said tomorrow is two positive sextiles. The other one is Venus is going to form a sextile with Chiron. Now, Chiron actually is kind of active this week, so we'll talk about that. Venus is going to form a sextile with Chiron. Well, Chiron is in Aries, and Venus is in Gemini, so those two like each other. So whenever we think of sextile, think of complementary elements. Venus is in Gemini, air sign, and then Chiron in Aries, fire sign. And so those two help each other. They like each other. They're friends. Yay. And so with Venus, our love life is activated, highlighting Chiron, which is healing. So Chiron was nicknamed in mythology the wounded healer. He is a centaur, just like Sagittarius was a centaur. And basically it's that's all about healing some kind of wounding or being able to get that love and healing. What did Marvin Gaye say? Sexual healing, you know, and having that kind of lovely thing around, it could be around relationships or how you feel around relationships, how you feel loved, or it doesn't have to be romantic relationships. It could be friendships or even a relationship with a parent, but it's all about how we perceive and receive love. And you know, something in us is healing right now. There's a layer. And remember, sextiles are often felt just in a more mild, peaceful way. So we might have to kind of be on the lookout for how does the sextile, because a lot of astrologers don't even talk about sextiles because they're so mild that sometimes people don't notice them. But hello, I like to notice good things. When good things are happening, let's point them out and let's notice them. Let's have gratitude for when we have good things. So we have Venus sextile Chiron tomorrow. It's coming to a peak or height tomorrow night, April 25th on Tuesday at 7:51 p.m. Eastern time. So again, earlier than that if you're on the West Coast. Hello, Michelle Lee, welcome. And so basically that can help to heal something, especially as we get closer to the peak of it. Remember, it's active right now. The peak of it is tomorrow night, 7:51 p.m. But we're in that bubble. We're in the 24-hour bubble. You know, things could go really well with work tomorrow. Things could go really well with a love or a lover. Now, Chiron is a little tricky and Saturn can be a little tricky sometimes too. But again, hopefully we have smoothed edges here because Venus and the Sun are quite lovely. And I think these are going to be really good transits. Now, again, we don't have tons of major transits, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about our love life even the next day on Wednesday, and that's going to be on April 26th. Venus, again in Gemini, is going to form a semi-sextile with Uranus. Now I'm getting really into a mild transit here. A semi-sextile, what's that? It's half a sextile. And Uranus is still in Taurus. So there could be something kind of out of the blue, a mild surprise, a small surprise, a little glitch in the day or a little glitch in the night. Uranus always brings some kind of element of a surprise. Uranus in astrology is considered to be the wild card. So we could have some kind of element of surprise here, but with Venus and you know, Chiron, highlighting both Chiron and Uranus, something comes as a surprise, but also we can heal it. Okay, instead of having it be a big major trigger and all that, we can heal this thing. We can lean into the love. I would say lean into the love. That is the thing. Remember that love is the most important thing. I always talk about, I haven't talked about this in a long time, but I always say, are you in love or are you in fear? And they can't really occupy the same space. We can bat sort of back and forth between the two, but you can say, are you in faith or are you in fear, or are you in love or are you in fear? Meaning that which are you choosing to embrace? What truth are you choosing to embrace? The fear, or are you choosing to embrace the love or the faith? And so if you are more in love and more in faith, you know, they can't occupy the same space at the same time. Not really. They sometimes seem like they do because we can bat quickly back and forth between them, but it's not the same space. Sometimes I'm afraid, sometimes I'm not, you know, it's like we can go back and forth. And so lean into the love instead. Remember that their love is real. Venus is in Gemini. So think about feeling dualistic, because Venus is, Gemini is a dualistic sign. Remember, it's the twins. That means two. So we might be feeling a couple different things at the same time, but really we're not. We're choosing to lean into one more than the other. So try to lean into the love or the faith. Are you in faith, or are you in fear, or are you in love, or are you in fear? And that will kind of help to guide you. Hello, Rosalie. Welcome. Capricorn from Vermont. That's awesome. And so that's going to be on Wednesday. This Venus semi-sextile with Uranus is Wednesday. That's 8:37 p.m. Eastern time. But again, that's going to be super mild. But I think the big day, we have 2 days that I guess have bigger energies, and that would be on Thursday. Thursday is the second chance new moon. Now, I know we just had the real new moon last Thursday. We had the new moon. We had the Solar eclipse. Oh my gosh, we had so many things last Thursday. It was so much. We had the sun entered Taurus, and then we had sun sextile, or sorry, sun was square Pluto, which was not a fun thing. And so last week we had a lot of energies downloaded. So this week, remember we talked about last week how basically we weren't going to write out our new moon manifestation list. You can if you did, it's not a big deal, don't worry about it. That we might even save that for this week. Well, if you're going to write your new moon manifestation list, write it on Thursday. Now, the second chance new moon, or it's called the second quarter lunar cycle or the first quarter lunar cycle. It's called so many names, but basically what it is, it's the half moon in between the new moon and the next full moon. Now we are in eclipse season. And so eclipse season means that we are feeling for almost a month, we're feeling the downloads, and because we can't just look at it myopically as in the one day, the eclipse happened on Thursday, that was it. No, it's the whole week going. Sometimes some astrologers even say 2 weeks going before the eclipse and then a couple weeks after the eclipse. So eclipse season is really more like a month. And so we're in the middle of eclipses. It's no big deal. We're just going to do this. We've been doing this our whole lives, living through these eclipses over and over again. And so this is the second quarter lunar cycle or the first quarter lunar cycle. The sun is in Taurus, squaring the moon in Leo. This is happening in fixed signs. So if you are a Taurus or a Scorpio or a Leo or an Aquarius, you will be feeling this particular half moon. So if you look at the moon in the sky, half of it's going to be light and the other half will be dark. The peak of it is going to, thank you for the thumbs up and the hearts, by the way. The peak of it, the height of it, the pinnacle of it is going to be on Thursday, April 27th, and that is going to be 2:30 a.m. Eastern time. So even Wednesday night if you're out on the West Coast. And so that's going to be the second chance new moon. Now with the sun in Taurus and the moon in Leo, these are fixed signs. Both Taurus and Leo are proud, okay? And they both, once they get fixed on something, they can both be quite stubborn. Leo is a little bit more egotistical about things, and Taurus can just be stubborn just because. And so these two have to learn to work together, but goodness, if they did, they would be such a dynamic duo, okay? Oh, thank you for the stars, Rosalie. By the way, you can send stars. It's kind of like a little way of giving a tip or something. But if anybody wants to send those stars, it's a fun thing that Facebook started. So thank you so much. And so basically it's something that it's 7 degrees Leo. The moon is going to be 7 degrees Leo. So if you have early Leo in your chart anywhere, you will be feeling this particular second chance new moon. Now, what's the purpose of the second chance new moon? So we're halfway between the last new moon, which again, using the farmer as the farmer plants new seeds, and then the full moon harvests the seeds. So the halfway point is, do the seeds need more sunlight? Does the soil need more fertilizer? What do we need to do to help these plants grow? And so when you're thinking about your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, the things we planted on the new moon, we're doing a little like analysis or a little review. How's that going? Am I doing enough things here to realize my dreams, my goals, my aspirations, all those types of things? And so that's what the second chance new moon, that's what I nicknamed it. But basically, because we're continuing the work of the new moon so that we can get to harvest season. So we're going to make sure, are the plants growing? Now, some astrologers say this can be a stressful point because it's kind of like, oh God, half the plants aren't growing. What am I going to do? Sometimes it can bring up something like that, but I think this could be good. And this is a good time to write your new moon manifestation list. Now, somebody asked me a very smart question last week. And basically, it was, when do I write the list? Is it before or is it after? So technically, if you want it to be accurate and perfect, it's after. You want to do it after the 2:30 a.m. Eastern time on April 27th. And again, if you're on the West Coast of the United States, you would do it 3 hours earlier. or mountain time 2 hours earlier. You know, you just minus for whatever time zone that you're in. And so you would do it just after. So you could do it the next morning on that Thursday morning when you wake up. You could do it then. But here's what I always say. Don't go for sometimes if we go for perfect, sometimes we use that as an excuse to not do it. And I'd rather have you do it. Because look, I always say this, if you have really good intentions and you have really good, powerful energy and you're harnessing all the good, you know, stuff, then that's really what's important. It's your intention. We're using the moon to help us. We're using the moon, and like, in other words, it's almost like we're going with the tides, we're going with the cycles, and we're leaning into that so that it is, we're leaning into it being beneficial for us, especially if you're a Taurus or a Leo on this particular new half moon. Or like I said, even if you're a Scorpio or Aquarius, you'll really be feeling this. But, you know, I mean, everybody will feel it because it's always, you know, we all have these things in our charts. We all have Taurus and Leo in our charts. Even when you don't have any planets there, you still have those in your chart. Wendy said sun, and warmer weather. Yeah, we're getting there. We're kind of in New England. I'm wearing a sweater because I'm chilly. In New England up here, we're having some chillier weather. Now, on the day of the second chance new moon, we have Mars in Cancer is going to form a square with Chiron in Aries. Now, remember when I said on Tuesday, Venus is forming a positive sextile with Chiron. Now Mars is getting into the picture, and that's the 2 days at the end of the week, or like toward the end of the week, that are a little, and that's Mars is getting involved. So Mars square Chiron, what is that? Well, that's anger. Somebody gets mad at something, and we have to heal that. Beep. Okay, we have to heal that stuff. Okay, so Mars is in Cancer and is oh so sensitive in Cancer. I mean, Mars is basically, you know, can be angry, aggressive, but when we get into Cancer, sensitive, the crab, okay, is very sensitive, all about feelings and nostalgia and, oh, woe is me, the feelings. Cancer can be very sensitive, and when we get the anger and the aggression from Mars, somebody could step on somebody's toes on around Thursday, even Wednesday, as we get into this time, and then square Chiron, we have to heal that stuff, and it's a little harder to find the healing, because remember when I said we were going to have a lot of healing on Tuesday, but on Thursday, it's a little harder to access that healing. Chiron in Aries, you know, we just need to heal that. Cancer and Aries are square each other. So that's basically what the deal is. So yeah, so we'll be feeling it. We'll definitely be feeling it. Ashley said, what does that mean for Taurus rising? I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe the second chance moon, Ashley, but I don't know where your Taurus rising is, but you'll be feeling it. You'll just feel it. That's the best way I can answer that. You'll just be feeling it. And so all these things we all feel. So again, if you have Cancer in your chart or Aries in your chart, you'll be feeling that Mars square Chiron, but it doesn't matter because we'll all be feeling it. Okay, so pay attention to what you say to other people. Have a little bit more empathy, or a little bit more sympathy, or a little bit more delicate, walk delicately, and also try not to also take things too personally on Thursday too. We don't want to take things too personally either, and then we basically, because we can be overly sensitive at this time, and it's like, oh my God, they said this or this, and it was really just like an innocent comment, or, you know, something like that. Sometimes that happens, and we don't mean it to happen, especially since Friday's kind of mild, but when we get into Saturday, there's no major transits other than moon transits on Friday. But on Saturday, we have Mars is going to form a sextile with Uranus. Now, yes, I just said sextiles are positive, but I also tell everybody this. Look at the players. And Mars and Uranus are the two players here. And those two are not as easy to get along with. Those two both can be pointed, we'll just say. Mars again is in Cancer and is going to form a sextile with Uranus, which is in Taurus. That's going to be on Saturday at 4:05 p.m. Eastern time on April 29th, 2023. And so something shocking can come out of nowhere with this, or something, you know, again, it's a sextile, so it is positive, but we got to look at those players. And Mars is already forming a weird thing with Chiron on Thursday. So Thursday and Saturday, Mars is going to be active, and all the days in between. So we have to just watch our anger, our aggression, getting frustrated even with the kids or the dogs or the cats or hermit crabs, whatever you have, like having patience with an elderly person, just kind of having more patience, because all this Mars stuff can be just get like real aggro real quick, okay? Like aggravated, okay? Like you're getting really aggravated, annoyed, frustrated. And especially with Uranus, we can have a hair trigger because Uranus can sometimes be unstable and unsteady. Dang it. I meant to print out the map for you guys because, you know, I like to show you, but Mercury and Uranus are kind of traveling pretty close together. They didn't form an exact conjunction with each other, but they're like side by side, kind of like this on the map, and they're running right through Yemen. And if anybody heard about that horrible thing last week during the eclipse new moon, there was a huge stampede, and I think it was like 78 or 80 people died in this stampede, and something triggered it right out of nowhere. So when we're talking about Uranus being active, that's the kind of stuff that Uranus can do. Like Uranus is earthquakes and kind of, you know, volcanic activity and crazy stampedes and whatever. That can be a very Uranus thing. And with Mars, that can be aggression or anger or frustration or spitefulness. I was reading somewhere, you know how anger is a cover for pain. Maybe you don't know that, but anger is a secondary emotion. It's a cover for pain. Spitefulness is actually a secondary emotion to wanting connection, which I thought was very interesting. That's like a cover for wanting connection, being spiteful. And so, but that's very Mars, and Mars in Cancer is a little passive aggressive and also sensitive. So we have this additional lens with Mars and Cancer. Mars and Cancer can be, Mars is not comfortable in Cancer. It's considered to be at its detriment in Cancer because it's not functioning as well. And so basically in Cancer, it's a little bit more passive aggressive, a little too sensitive, and crabs can, they can pinch you. So you got to watch that energy. So basically that's it for the week. And like I said, it's not a very overly busy week. It's actually kind of mild, especially in the beginning of the week. It gets a little more iffy more towards the end of the week. And like I said, because the Mars gets activated. Now, next week, we have our first planet, I think it was our first planet, other than Mercury retrograde, going retrograde on Monday. And I'll see you next Monday night. But that's going to be Pluto is going retrograde on Monday. And then also next week, we have the second in the series of eclipses. We have a lunar eclipse next week on the full moon lunar eclipse, and that's going to be in Scorpio. And that'll be all the way on Friday, May 5th. So May 1st, we have Pluto retrograde. May 5th, we have this new full moon retrograde, eclipse. And so that's going to be taking place, these two. And so there's going to be a little bit more contentious energy. So this week, a little more quiet, though definitely gets a little more passive aggressive at the end of the week, but we don't want that, right? I'm sorry. Michelle Lee said, you're speaking to all the things I'm having trouble with right now. Wendy said, just be nice. Andrea said, note to self, try not to be too sensitive. Monica, hello, Leo Virgo, arriving home from work. Yay. Thank you, Monica. Glad you could join us. Now, you guys know, or I was about to share with you, and I wanted to I like to sometimes show you guys charts and talk about how does this energy affect us in real life. You know, you hear me talking about these big astrological events and these big things that I'm always talking about on, and I say, okay, look out for this or have this, or this is how this could function. And then I like to show you examples also, because I want to take this esoteric, sort of magical seeming topic of astrology and bringing it down to the planet and making it real. Like, let's make it real. Okay. And so I thought I would select a person that had a big turnaround on this eclipse, big, huge turnaround. And so I wanted to talk about that. And again, I'm reporting here, whether you're pro or against, or, you know, hate this person, love this person. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how do eclipses function in somebody's chart and how can it turn somebody's life around. So remember what I talked about. Remember, we're in eclipse season now, so I want you to really listen up about this, because this is how these work, and we're still getting, we're about to get another eclipse too. So this person had a huge turnaround, and it was announced on the day of the eclipse to the public, and that is Alec Baldwin. Okay, so Alec Baldwin, as you know, was getting charged, I think, with secondary manslaughter. I can't even remember, because of the shooting on set of the film that he was filming, and he was going to be charged, and literally the charges were dropped, and it was announced on the eclipse. Well, I want to show you guys Alec Baldwin's chart, because I want to show you how this affected him, and to show you how these things can also affect you and cause a turnaround in your life. Obviously, it's going to be different for everybody, and obviously it's Alec Baldwin's chart is Alec Baldwin's chart. It's not your chart. But I want to show you how regenerative, and how, remember what I told you before, and I'll just do a mini review. The sun and the moon cut each other off just for a moment, right? So it's like rebooting a computer. It's like we're turning off the computer, and fingers crossed that it comes back on again. Although if you're all mirror, it didn't come back on. I'm sorry, buddy. Jennifer said, been extra sensitive the last 3 days. Yeah, because we're getting a massive onslaught of these eclipses. Julia, Taurus in Vermont, happy birthday. If anybody's on the live chat here, go ahead and write happy birthday to Julia in Taurus next week. So you're going to be getting this eclipse, though, next week. So anyway, so Alec Baldwin here, and I wanted to show you his chart. We don't know Alec Baldwin's time, but this won't matter for this demonstration. His time of birth is unknown. And so this is his astrological birth chart. And we do know he was born on April 3rd, so he is an Aries. Lookity, look. So I made the date, the date of the eclipse on April 20th, just so that you guys can see. And look at the eclipse, was right on his Mercury. It couldn't be any more on his Mercury. It was so on his Mercury. His Mercury in his astrological chart is at 0 degrees, okay, and the eclipse was 29 degrees, 0.50. So it was right 29.50 and 30. It was like point whatever degree off of his Mercury here. I'm trying to show two cameras. So, and then also right near it, so here's the sun, here's the moon, that's the eclipse. We have the north node of the moon right behind that, and then we have Jupiter right next to that. And remember, Mercury is thinking, talking, communicating. So Alec Baldwin heard some news that it was a complete turnaround in his life, in his chart, and all the charges were dropped against him. And so that was something that also highlighted this opposition, this big, strong opposition. And again, it's not really an ugly opposition here. Here is Jupiter, here's Neptune, and the node of the moon here. And so see, north node of the moon, his destiny, south, and then the north node of the moon over here is his destiny. So there was something he cashed in on, some kind of karma, past life karma, this life karma, whatever. He cashed in on some kind of a karmic thing here. sometimes this happens, you know, if it depends. You know, I know some people don't believe in karma. I happen to believe in karma because I do feel I see past lives all the time in my sessions with people and even in myself. But I want to show you guys something even more. So this was like the uncomplicated, super simple chart, but these are the charts that Gretchen does, which is very complicated. Okay, look at all this activity. This is for everyone. I should say this, the natal, these are his natal birth planets right here on the inside of the chart, and then on the outside is the current transiting planets. Look at all the current transiting planets highlighting all of his stuff here. And by the way, each and every one of us, you, me, Alec Baldwin, everybody, has this gigantic cluster right now. We have this huge cluster between Aries and between Taurus. You can see all the planets I told you. And I like to show you the symbols just so you can see like all of the stuff. And so we have people talking online here about, I'm tired, or I'm super busy, or I'm stressed out, or I have this and that. That's because there's just so much energy right now. Again, this week is going to be just slightly quieter, just a little bit. But Alec Baldwin, boy, here's the other cool thing. I would say cool, but you know, however you want to look at this, but I think it's cool astrology wise, is what I'm saying. Remember this whole thing with the gun and his film was about safety. Well, here's Vesta. Now, again, a lot of other astrologers don't talk about Vesta, but here's his natal Vesta. His natal Vesta is in Taurus. I told you guys that a couple weeks ago, Vesta just went into Taurus. And if you want, go back to that video and watch that. It's on my YouTube channel, and it has a big title and it says Vesta in Taurus. Okay, so look, this had to do with safety. And look at what we have here. We have Mercury, Uranus, and Juno, like all kind of piled up around safety. So what they said was it wasn't his problem, or it wasn't his fault, that there was definitely a safety issue here that was highlighted at the time of the making of this film. And it is very possible that a law could be passed because of this film. This is my prediction, is that there's going to be a law that is passed because there is this karmic thing that I think he's like, I feel like this situation is teaching us about perhaps safety in film production and safety around guns. I mean, this is not the first time that somebody was killed on set from a gun. And so live ammo on a set. And perhaps this safety feature, because Vesta is safety. Remember, I was talking about how Vesta is safety here. Mercury is right on his Vesta. There's like a double Vesta thing. Look at this. Look at this too. Vesta is sitting on his past life. The transiting Vesta right now is sitting on his past life. So we have a double Vesta thing. We have Vesta here and Vesta here. This is safety. So I actually do feel that this unfortunate, horrible, needless death on the set of this film could end up creating a larger, because there's a lot of past life stuff with this, with Alec Baldwin. And I don't want to say, like, I'm going to say this, but I don't know how else to phrase it. It's almost like the universe used him, or in some way, as a mode of being able to help people in the future never have anything like this. And it was like Alec Baldwin was used as like the horrible example of that. And so this was a hard thing for him to go through. And also at the time of that happening, it's not the case anymore, because that happened a few years ago. He was also kind of in his Saturn return too. So there was a lot of stuff going on in his chart karmically that basically came out of it. But he's not being held. I mean, Melinda said accountability, but he's not really being held accountable. All the charges were dropped. But in the bigger picture, I think this helps people in the future, because even though he didn't have jail time or any kind of thing, his name is certainly getting cleared in a way. I mean, if you look in his chart, this is all the area of self. Alec Baldwin, this whole first house area is self. a lot of his natal birth chart is that way, and his and the transiting planets. So he's going through almost like a rebirth of himself, and new year, new you, I guess, for him. And this eclipse was really like powerful and probably completely shocked him. That's the other thing. I don't even know that he was really expecting this, but if I was doing a reading for him, hey, Alec Baldwin, call me. By the way, he just moved, he bought a house in Vermont, so maybe he could call me, I don't know. But anyway, there's a lot here that could help him and in his chart, and I would have said he would be set free on this, though it was going to be long and hard because, see, he was in a Saturn return. Yeah, exactly, Wendy. The person in charge of the props you think would be held accountable. And that person is not, like, I hate to say, famous enough that their chart's available online. So I don't know what that person's astrological chart. That's the only problem with astrology. I need to have the birth information. But with Alec Baldwin, I do have his, and by the way, I say first house of self. I don't know his birth time, but I use a chart called a sunrise chart when I don't know somebody's astrological birth time and or their natal birth time. And so this is pretty darned accurate, I would say. So anyway, so I thought you guys would be interested in seeing that. And that's basically what the deal is. And I'm using him as an example, just kind of like the universe used him as an example in a way, to be able to highlight the need for safety, the need for, because he's got a double Vesta thing, and this was all about safety. And remember what I said, and I like to teach that and show as a real life example, because sometimes we have these esoteric concepts and we can't think of how that happens in practical life. So his rebooting of the computer, the sun and the moon took place over Mercury, and he heard news that it's a complete reset button for him, really, in his life. Like, it's like, you know, off of his shoulders. So yeah, so I thought I'd share that with you guys, because there wasn't much going on this week, and I want to show you how this can sometimes really help people. I mean, eclipses can either make or break you, really. I mean, eclipses are just that powerful that it can make, it's like a make or break type of a moment in life. And for Alec, it helped him. You know, he got that download in his chart, and it did help him. So yeah, so I hope that you guys enjoyed that. Now I want to be able to help you guys and maybe pull some cards. I'm definitely going to do a card of the week. So if you can stick to the end of this broadcast, but I am going to be pulling some cards if anybody had any questions or anything come up. I like to do this to help you guys. Yes, Wendy said he is a busy bee. Yes. Oh, Stephanie, happy birthday, Taurus in Middlebury. Your birthday is May 2nd. So we'll have to offer, also wish Stephanie happy birthday here on the broadcast. Almir said, should we place a bigger emphasis on our rising sign other than our sun sign? No, the sun sign is still the big important. So I always tell people, if the sun dies, we all die, you know. So the sun is the very largest thing in our whole solar system. So when we say happy birthday, yay, because Almir, it is going to be your birthday, I'm assuming soon. So if we say happy birthday, we're talking about somebody's sun sign. And so the sun is the big major deal. In fact, the rising sign, I can still do readings if I don't have a person's birth time. Birth time is what determines your rising sign. And the rising sign is not actually a planet. The rising sign is what was on the horizon at the time you were born. So like I did with Alec Baldwin's chart, I don't have his rising sign because there's no accurate birth time for him on record. So basically what ends up happening is I actually plug the entire chart into the energy of the sun. So I actually use the energy of the sun sometimes even more than the rising sign, though the rising sign is super duper important, and it's actually what we call one of the big three in astrology. The sun, the moon, and the rising sign are all the like sort of the biggest things in a chart. So yeah, but out of anything, sun sign I think trumps all of that, if you will. So I hope that helps. Yes, and oh, okay, May 17th. So it's coming up. You're closer to Gemini, so it's coming up. All right, Jacoy. You want a card about your love life? You're welcome, Almir. And if anybody follows Almir, has a beautiful account on Instagram, I'll tell you, he does some amazing, you know, things on Instagram with different spells and different, just, oh, I love your reels, Almir. Okay, let me see, Jacoy, what do we need to know about your love life? Woo! I think this is funny just because of the way it's phrased in the card. I just made me giggle a little bit. New project. Now, you asked about love life. Hopefully, new project. Hopefully it's not a project that you're getting and it's actually a love. But it's interesting because it's saying pay attention to your dreams. So you might be having dreams about this person. You might be having, coming into your dreams either in the night or even your daydreams, but there is somebody that's coming in or coming to you, and you do have a new project. I should have used my other deck because, this one's, not really geared for love, but it says like a newborn baby, your actions are growing your idea into a reality. I want to, use a different deck, Jacoy, just to double check the energy there. But it does seem like you got maybe a new something or other coming. That's interesting. I kind of feel like as if you might have had an interaction with this person before, either just casually, or even if it's an ex, which by the way is my one exception, Mercury retrograde. It is okay to get back together with an ex during Mercury retrograde. Is it okay to get back together with that ex? That you guys have to decide that for yourselves. But it is considered to be good to like reunite with an ex during Mercury retrograde. Not a new love, but a pre-existing, or somebody that you just knew from the past. That's okay. Okay. You said, "Oh dear God," laugh out loud. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this person that does have a tie in some way, shape, or form. But it feels like you've been alone now, or feeling lonely, or even if you are with somebody, you're still not feeling very connected, because you're getting the Hermit card and stuff like that. So it feels like you've been like kind of dreaming and daydreaming. You've been wanting something, it feels like. I do feel like as if, and I have the feeling that this person is handy or good with their hands, or does something like a manual labor, or has a hobby of something with their hands. Like I'm getting working hands. So I feel like as if this person has tools and does some kind of thing with their hands. Yeah. I don't know. I think it looks good. Do you know who that is, Jacoy? You said yes. I'm not sure if that's yes good or yes bad. But who is that person? Is that a new person or somebody that the worker person? Feels like this person does something like that. Yeah. But has been away for a while maybe or something, but still it ends up, it looks like there's some kind of like, look at how, see, there's a dead tree, and then there's a beautiful new tree, and then there's a butterfly. Yeah, this person, even if they're not like, let's say a contractor or a plumber or some kind of thing, they maybe are like a woodworker on the weekends, or fishing, does something with fishing or some kind of thing with the hands. But this person has like salt to the earth kind of hands, the way that it doesn't look like somebody, it looks like somebody has like worn hands or calloused hands or something. And maybe is outdoorsy too. I kind of get that feeling as well. But I do feel, it looks like there's a long period of time. He owns his own business towing commercial vehicles. Yeah, that's exactly the type of person. It's like salt to the earth type person. And I even feel like maybe on the weekends is out in the woods hunting or fishing, or does something like that. Like has like a hobby even that's like a kind of that way. But I do feel like as if try to lean back try to lean back a little bit, even though your inclination is to lean forward and to make things happen. You know, I'm just going to text him and I'm just going to call. I want you to lean all the way back. Okay. And just like, I always say, unplug your energy. That's that. They won't contact you unless if you unplug the energy. If you unplug the energy completely, meaning your thoughts, your feelings, your mind, like just go right off. I'm done with you. And that's always when they contact. That's always when they come back around. But it doesn't look like it's all lost. In fact, it looks like it's just like maybe a hiatus or a vacation or something. There's some kind of like thing, but I feel like it comes back together again. And if you're overly lonely, this is what I call being loved starved. If you're love starved, you're gonna automatically lean in. It's kind of like saying, oh, you're dehydrated. Well, don't drink that water. You know what I mean? It's hard to not do that. So try to fill your love cup up with some kind of love in some sort of way, from a best friend, from a sister or a mother or uncle or brother, somebody else besides this one person. Because when we make that one person so big and so powerful and so like make them everything, then we start to lose ground. We start to make them bigger and more important than ourselves. And that is not the case. We want to be on equal ground. So try to fill your love cup up with some other way. Get a puppy. I don't care. Do something, okay? Because yeah, she said, great advice. Unplug. Well, watch pot never boils. Wendy said that. Yes, exactly. Yeah, so unplug your energy away from, make yourself real busy if you can, and fill your love cup up. And that way when he comes, it's like a cherry on top of a beautiful sundae that's already full, delicious whipped cream, all the sprinkles and everything else that you want to put on your sundae. He's just the cherry, okay? So you got to remember that, because when we make somebody bigger, that's just for anybody out there. And that's why I always encourage people, make sure you listen to the answers to the questions, because I try to teach these concepts, these bigger concepts, so that everybody can like hear them and appreciate them. Okay, let's see. All right, so let me do, what do we need to know for the week? I feel like using Archangel Gabriel. Gabriel was the messenger, and I feel like with Mercury retrograde, we need to have a message from the messenger. So what do we need to know this week? Beginning of the week, all these lovely sextiles going on, but then we get into some Mars. So we have Venus in the beginning and then Mars at the end of the week. So what do we need to know about this week? I just like to pull some cards to see what the universe is telling us to do for this week. Okay, we have to nurture ourselves. We get this a lot, I feel like. Also, I'm going to pull another card too, because I want to know more about that. What do we need to know about this week? Okay. Oh my God, this is so perfect. So perfect. Listen only to love. What did I say in the very, very, very beginning of the broadcast? I love this. Listen only to love. This was the message earlier on. Okay? Don't allow fear to distract you from your divine mission. Listen only to love. Okay? So we got nurture ourselves. What's real? Love. Love is the only real thing. Listen only, nurture yourself. Invest time in self-care now will yield more energy for you later. Look, if you have to take a nap, if you have to say you're busy and you're not really, and you just need to like chill out, take some me time, take some alone time, do whatever you got to do to fill your own cup. I'm going to go be in the bathroom, family, and then you just take 5 minutes for yourself, you know, if you've ever done that, if you have kids or pets or husbands or wives or whatever. We're gonna nurture ourselves, and then we're gonna listen only to love. Remember, the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. So a lot of times when we freak out over something, we get scared, we get, I don't know what to do. It's false evidence appearing real. That's not actually going to happen. And remember that love, you can use the word interchangeably, love and faith. You can talk about love or even faith in yourself, faith in God, faith in the universe, whatever you want to call it, or faith in the angels. The angels have your back. They're protecting you always. And so that's one of the things, like even using, again, Alec Baldwin as the example, I'm sure he freaked out. I'm sure he thought he was in trouble. I'm sure he, you know, not only, I'm not talking about him just the feeling bad about what happened and everything else, but also the legal ramifications of it. And it did work out, you know, in the end. And there was that giant like chunk of years of his life where he probably was freaking out. So a lot of times, even in our lives, when we feel bleak or we feel like something's not gonna work and it's just not, listen to love, because fear is just the dark forces trying to get in there and plant that little, I call it a brain worm, you know, and that's what makes us feel down or makes us feel like something is bleak or hopeless or whatever, but it's not. And there's miracles that happen all the time. There are things that work out all the time. And so listen to love, listen to your angels or guardians, your spirit guides. They will always help you. They will always have your back. There we go. Major downloads. I love it, love it, love it. I hope that helps everybody. If you guys want to have a personalized astrological session, of course, you can always send me a text message or send me a message through Facebook or even on YouTube. And definitely reach out. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. I am trying to get 1,000 subscribers in 2023, and I had a huge jump in numbers recently. So if anybody hasn't subscribed, please subscribe to that channel because that really helps me. And yeah, so remember to listen to love this week, and remember my words for you. Listen to love, 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 love. Only love is real. And have a great week, everybody. I'll see you guys next Monday night, 8 p.m. on Facebook, live on Facebook. Bye, everybody.